Live from parts unknown, you're listening to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast on the planet, we think. Sit back, relax, prepare for positivity to run through your veins as Simon Miller gives you your weekly dose of powerful pro wrestling audio. It is Miller Time.
Hello, welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Simon Miller, and this is a pro wrestling podcast. Now, before we do get going, I apologise. This is not only 24 hours late, but if you are on UK time like me, it has gone up quite late in the evening, but it has been an absolutely crazy week, which we will get into in 1 second. Because if you don't know, this past Sunday, I did have my first ever singles pro wrestling match with Defiant, which amazingly, they usually don't wait a couple of weeks, but you can actually go and watch it right now. If you just search for the Defiant Wrestling YouTube channel, you'll find my first ever singles match on this. If you want to watch it and criticize it, you're certainly more than welcome to do so. And I'll also put a link in the, it'll be in the description on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, all that stuff. So you can just click it and you can see me in action. We've got loads to talk about this week as well. It's been an absolutely crazy week in pro wrestling. And I'm very happy to say that I have a very special guest joining me today. Like a lot of people that come on here, he's been very gracious. And he has supported me at patreon.com/Simon316. And you can do that too if you'd like to come on Simon's Pro Wrestling Podcast. And here's my man, Pedro. Pedro, how are you doing today?
Hey, Simon, I'm doing good.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Now, look, before we get into all the stuff in the week, and we are going to talk about everything, we'll mention Vader. We have to, of course. Big Cass. Everything happens on Raw, SmackDown, Money in the Bank. And yeah, we'll get into my match as well, because I know some people want to hear about it, which I do appreciate. Before we do that, Pedro, it's always good to know, I find it fascinating when people come on the show, how did you get into wrestling? Tell me about, what it was that you saw where you're like, man, this stuff is amazing.
Okay, so I believe the first match that I saw, I believe it was 1996. It was Taker versus King Mabel. Do you remember when it was by the time that King Mabel broke Taker's face and Taker started to using that mask, that purple mask? I don't know if you remember.
I do remember. Yeah. No, I Taker had that one of my ages.
So that was my first experience with wrestling, and I was like, I remember I was in some family house, and I was watching that. I was a kid by then, but I fell in love with that, and like loved Undertaker by that moment. So I have to say, Taker is my favorite wrestler of all times.
Amazing.
And after that, I started watching local wrestling and got into WWE a lot, and yeah, it was a love at first sight, I would say.
I like it. Did you ever have time away from wrestling, or once you got into it where you were 100%?
Yeah, like most people, I had my break from wrestling. Not because I stopped loving it, but I don't know. It happened, and like most people, it happened after the invasion stuff, man. And I was kind of disappointed about how they did that. I was very into it at the beginning, but after that pay-per-view, man, I was like, I got to take a break from this. It was too much to process.
It was just so badly botched, wasn't it? I mean, it's something we'd all been looking forward to for years, and then finally we have this one-time opportunity, and it doesn't go anywhere. It was over within 8 months, or whatever it was.
Yeah, so I believe that was the last pay-per-view I saw, the invasion, and I didn't watch WWE again after maybe it was I believe it was on the pay-per-view that okay, so I'm from Puerto Rico, like I said, so I remember I came back to WWE watching it when Carlito and Primo were on the kickoff show against Miz and Johnny Morrison. He was going by that, Johnny Nitro. I don't remember. So I that was the first pay-per-view I watched after all those years. That I remember pretty good.
Also, because it's rare to get somebody on the line that is from Puerto Rico. What are your impressions on Primo and Epico when they had that gimmick, which is like, man, Puerto Rico, it's like, I think they kind of used Puerto Rico as a reason to get booed. Like, I mean, what was like for you?
Yeah, man, they are great wrestlers.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't think they ever got a good chance to. Primo did, Carlito did, because I remember I wasn't watching WWE by that time, but I remember what he was doing with all the Carlito Caribbean Cool and everything.
Yeah.
And it was super weird because here in Puerto Rico, because he's the son of Carlos Colon,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
he was when he started here, he was a face. So when he moved to WWE, he started as a heel. And here in Puerto Rico, in the wrestling company that his father owns, they did a whole segment of Carlos Colon being super angry and sad because his son went to the States to be a heel. So yeah, so I remember all that, and I believe again was what I was saying was they're very good wrestlers, they're very good athletes, but I don't think WWE ever gave them a good chance with. I don't know, man. And after that, Carlito left. Then came Epico. Yeah, I'm sad because the Puerto Rican athletes haven't had the good, how do I say it, good opportunities. Not good opportunities, but they haven't got the best from WWE.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, do you watch a lot of the? I mean, I don't really know what the lay of the land is down in Puerto Rico anymore, but I know that the WWC used to be the big one.
The WWC and there was IWA.
Yeah.
That was founded by. Do you remember? Probably don't. I don't know if you do. Do you remember Los Boricuas?
Yeah, I remember Los Boricuas. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are two of them are or used to be. I don't remember. Used to be the owners of IWA, Savio Vega and Miguel Perez.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
By the way, they're both of my favorite wrestlers from here, and like Savio Vega is great, and Miguel Perez is very awesome. I don't know, but I don't keep with the local wrestling anymore.
I guess there's so much going on in WWE alone. It must be, and also everything like Ring of Honor and New Japan and all of that kind of stuff is just. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised, man. Like I imagine it's very much like trying to keep on track of all the British wrestling over here. You just cannot do all of it because there's too much.
Yeah, I believe here are like right now like 4 companies.
Yeah.
And for a small island like Puerto Rico, 4 companies it's a lot.
I can imagine it is, man. I like it, man. I find it fascinating. I really do find it fascinating to sort of, get that insight from a different country and stuff, because it brings with it, like I say, like when I saw Primo and Epico doing that gimmick, I was like, well, it's a bit strange. But actually, yeah, like you say, having somebody like Carlito who's a face and then they just move into America and just because he's from Puerto Rico, they make him a heel.
That must happens a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they do it with British guys as well, like Wade Barrett and Drew McIntyre. They all turn up and they're bad guys because they're evil foreigners and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I find it fascinating, man, to hear all of that. Yeah. But we will get into the week in wrestling this week. I think we'll start on a downer and we'll work our way back up. Because I literally was up 24 hours ago was when just over 24 hours ago as we're recording this, the news started to come through. And that is, of course, that Vader passed away. Now, I'm guessing by giving your, what you just mentioned there about, when you've been watching wrestling, you must have been, or at least you must have been aware of Vader back in the day.
No, man, I love Vader.
Yeah, me too.
I was super scared of him.
Yeah.
Man, super sad when I read the news yesterday because... I'm sorry, super sad when I read the news yesterday because, man, I love the guy. I knew he was sick. I knew he was, his heart was not doing good. So, man, the thing that saddens me the most is that they had the chance to put him on the WWE Hall of Fame before he passed away. And he didn't have that, man. And I think, I don't know, man, it's super sad.
No, I agree with you completely. Like, my thing was always, I think he was 63 years of age, which is nothing to... That's too young for anybody to die. But, like, you hit the nail on the head. The real thing that I took... Well, the 2 things that I always took away from Vader was, like you say, genuinely scared of him when I was a kid. Like, genuinely, he used to terrify me because he was massive and he used to go in there and beat people up. But also, I couldn't believe how athletic he was for a dude his size. Now, everybody is saying this, but the reason everybody's saying this is because it's true. Like, he really was, in many ways, ahead of his time.
Yeah, I was watching yesterday a video that I think WWE uploaded to the Twitter, where he was doing all these moonsaults, and I was like, man, that was some great stuff for a man who probably weighted like, I don't know, almost 400 pounds. So yeah, and I haven't seen that like for a long time. No one doing what Vader used to do today,
No,
like being a big guy.
you know, Keith Lee. Keith Lee always reminds me of Vader. Yeah, I mean, the way I met him, I was lucky enough to meet him once, and just the way he carried himself as well. You know, I really did get. I think that's why I like him so much, because it felt like almost a throwback to that style. But I agree with you too. Like it's not the fact that not only did he not get to go in the Hall of Fame before he passed away, but I think it's just the fact that there was opportunities to do so, and also everyone that did know him says it would have meant so much to him. That kind of does make it, slightly sadder, because I mean, he had all that controversial stuff with Will Ospreay a couple of years ago, but you don't need to. That's neither here nor there. I just think it would have been, a good way to end a career that really was something special when you go back and look through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I imagine that on Raw they'll do some kind of tribute or something for Vader, as they should. Like it's always sad when somebody passes away in wrestling. Of course it is, but Vader is. Just you can go through the network or YouTube or just I think the thing that they've melted in the Wrestling Observer this week is very good. You can kind of really see not only the effect he had on the business as a whole, but every territory he went to, be that Japan or America, not WWE, that wasn't his best run, but WCW especially, he really did have an impact, and in many ways, sort of upturned fortunes for people that were struggling. So yeah, he was a legend. It's an absolute shame, especially because, like you say, it'd been mentioned he'd been suffering from heart failure for a couple of years.
Yeah,
but
super sad.
Yeah, what do you do? Such is life, and unfortunately, we just have to keep moving forward. And the other kind of surprising news of the week was that Big Cass got fired. Now, this broke Tuesday evening as well. So Tuesday we had that, then Wednesday we had that. So it was absolutely nuts. But I mean, I didn't see that coming at all. I mean, I'll say this, and you can go back and watch a What Culture live stream I did ages ago, where I said I was never that high on Cass and Enzo, because I wasn't. But I was one of those guys that never really clicked with. What were your? Because now they're both gone, and Carmela obviously stands supreme, which I find fantastic, or amazing at least. Not saying fantastic. I don't want anyone to lose their jobs. But give me your impression of sort of Big Cass and Enzo, especially when you heard the news that he'd been fired.
Oh man! First of all, I was super shocked because I don't think anyone saw that coming. So it was like, whoa! I wasn't super fan of him. I'm probably I'm gonna regret saying this, but I'm a bigger fan of Enzo than Cass. I never liked Cass. I think it's maybe, even though he's super big and it was like WWE once, without Enzo, Cass was super boring. And I don't know, man. I've read some stuff about why he was let go, but I don't know, man. It was shocking. And again, who would have thought that of the three of them, like Carmela, Enzo, and Big Cass, Carmela will end up staying in the company, and Enzo and Cass leaving within a year, man. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I was listening to a podcast the other day of James Ellsworth with Austin. With Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Ellsworth was saying like how good Carmela is, and like she understands the business and everything. So I don't know, man. Maybe Carmela is better in that than we are giving her credit for.
Yeah, maybe. I think that the real fascinating thing for me is when you actually get into the nitty gritty of why he apparently went, and it kind of stems back to a couple of months ago, when he was doing that angle with the little person, obviously that was pretending to be Daniel Bryan, and he'd been specifically told only to give him a big boot and not beat him down, and then had gone out of his way to ask, "Oh, can I beat him up?" And they've been told by Vince McMahon, "No, you can't." And they did it anyway. Now that's not a great idea. Like, as they say, it's always better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. But you can't ask for permission, do it anyway, and then beg for forgiveness. That's not how it works.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
exactly,
so that was strange. And then there was rumors about how apparently he had a bad attitude backstage. He got into a row with Sami Zayn over their differing political views. There was apparently an incident with the promo that he didn't deliver as it was wanted. It was so bad that Vince McMahon fired the writer. He got trapped in a bus toilet on a European tour and broke the door. Like, it just seems like there's all these little things that have added up to the point someone's just gone, look, we don't need to, we don't need to handle this anymore. Just get rid of him, which also must have meant whatever flavor or whatever, stock they had in him or whatever they thought he could do, they obviously believed that he couldn't. They obviously soured on the guy and thought we're better off getting rid of him.
Yeah, man. I read also that he had like a drinking problem or something. I don't know, man.
Yeah, there was another rumor he got intoxicated in public. Yeah, I mean, I will say that all this is allegedly. No one knows for sure.
Yeah, it's allegedly, but
yeah, we're just reporting on what we know. But yeah, very strange indeed.
Yeah, it was very weird, very weird. And I don't know, maybe we should have seen it coming when like Daniel Bryan beat him the way he did on Sunday. Because I didn't expect that. Like the first match, yeah, I probably was expecting Bryan to win, but this second one, I was like, maybe they give this one to Cass, maybe to keep the feud going.
Yeah.
But like the way Bryan, who I love him, like he's the best wrestler right now there, but the way he beat him, it was like, whoa, man, that's weird coming from a company that loves big guys like Big Cass. So. True. Yeah, they just they wanted to teach him a lesson there, and I don't know.
I think you're right, man. I just think he'd rubbed too many people the wrong way. I think that the disobeying of orders a few weeks ago was really the nail in the coffin, as they say. And then from there, it was just too much stuff happened to the point that even a guy like that, which you've said yourself, they absolutely love, we just don't want him around anymore, and he was gone. And I can say that it certainly surprised me. I mean, the Enzo thing didn't, given that we knew what had come before that. But this one certainly surprised me. And yeah, as you say, on top of that, the fact that Carmela is the only one left standing, and also the only one that has ever won a title out of those three. Well, Enzo was Cruiserweight champion, but, they never won the tag team titles. Cass never won a belt. It's just... It's one of those weird situations in wrestling where it goes to show, 2 years ago, they debut on the Raw after WrestleMania and everyone goes crazy. And then, they're fired 24 months later. And that's it. We may never, ever seen them back in the WWE. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, sad for them, man. Sad for them.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. The crazy world of wrestling continues to tick on. Now, we did have a pay-per-view this week, so we'll start in Money in the Bank, and we'll tie it into Raw and SmackDown as we go. Now, I actually thought it was quite a decent pay-per-view. As always, you can go to What Culture Wrestling on YouTube, and you can watch my ups and downs. I thought it was decent. A lot of people were quite down on it. A lot of people were quite up on it, which was quite ironic, really. But no, I actually thought it was relatively... I enjoyed it. I overall, when it was all said and done, I thought, okay, there were a couple of low points within it, or at least a couple of points where I felt like it ran out of momentum. But overall, I actually thought, especially after Backlash, I thought it was a decent pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, man. Backlash, it was not good at all, man.
No, Backlash was terrible. Like, I mean, I try to always find the good in wrestling, but Backlash was just all over the place. So, yeah. I don't know. But what was your overall impressions of Money in the Bank when it was done?
Man, I did like it a lot, man. I enjoyed Money in the Bank a lot. Like the women's Money in the Bank match, like really, really, I'm not gonna say surprised me because I like we all know how good athletes they are.
Yeah.
But I will say this, and probably gonna hate me for that, but I enjoyed more the women's Money in the Bank match versus the men's Money in the Bank match.
Nothing wrong with that, man, at all.
Yeah, it was very good, man. I don't know. I was watching your ups and down. I know you said that probably like you heard that they rehearsed it or anything. I don't know, man. They brought it. They did a great job there, and it was very good. Overall, it was a very good pay-per-view. I loved it. I have like a couple of downs, but yeah, I loved it. Overall, I loved it.
I did too. And look, I don't know for sure if if the women did rehearse it. That's just reports that I've read and news that has been put out there. I don't care about that though. What is wrong with that? Like people seem to see like that's kind of slight. No, it's not. If that's what they think is going to work, and they've weighed up all the pros and cons and thought actually this is a good way to do it, why the hell can't they rehearse the match? Especially because all that really matters is what we get at the end. And by and large, everyone seems to suggest this was the best, women's Money in the Bank match we had. We've had 3, which is enough to start making judgment calls on. So why would you care what they're doing away from your eyes or live TV when we get to live TV and they can have a really entertaining match, which I believe this was.
Yeah, and again, no one can judge them, like judge the girls for rehearsing that, because like, let's be honest. How many matches a year does the guys have, like, a ladder match? Like, almost everyone has a ladder match once or then. But the girls, they have to wait for this Money in the Bank, or I don't know. I don't remember any other ladder match between two women, like, in a while. So, like, man, they're doing the best with what they're being given.
I totally agree, and I like I say, I really do believe this. I don't think WWE. It's very rare that WWE puts on bad ladder matches. I think they're very consistent with that. You know, I think when they when they put their minds to it, especially that the ladder match gimmick is actually something that and this is one of the reasons I think people still like Money in the Bank, because, you know, we've seen a lot of ladder matches in WWE, but they're never bad. I honestly can't think of the last time I saw a bad ladder match. Like, and you know, that one they did on NXT a couple of months ago was insanely good.
Oh man, yeah, there was 5-6 people. I remember it was great, man. The match was awesome.
Oh man, yeah, just fantastic. And I agree with you. Like, I don't mind. I don't mind them practicing or whatever. I thought both Money in the Bank matches were awesome. I didn't mind. Well, actually, to be fair, I really enjoyed Alexa Bliss winning and then cashing in on that Nia Jackson Ronda Rousey match. I thought that worked really well. Like, there was a lot of questions about what they were going to do if Ronda Rousey can hang. I'll absolutely say that I think Ronda Rousey is a brilliant professional wrestler. There's no two ways about it. Okay, you can argue that maybe her, you know, away from the ring stuff needs work, but she's still got time. I think probably right now her in-ring work is what's more important, and she's got that down. And, you know, I thought she had a great match with Nia Jax, which no one saw coming. And then having Alexa, you know, cash in, which, you know, I like that, because I wouldn't want to have two Money in the Banks going too long, because I think that would suffer it. But now we've done one. It was exciting. It worked within the confines of the story we're trying to tell. But also, more importantly, you know, it worked for the Nia Jax Ronda Rousey match. I thought it was great. I really liked all of that.
Yeah, man, because all of us were, like, I don't know about you, but I was, like, kind of skeptical about what was going to happen in that match between Ronda and Nia, because I was like, yeah, it's way too soon to give Ronda the championship. Yeah. But you're not gonna, like, make her lose in her first single match there. So I think they thought this pretty well. The Alexa Bliss cashing in was the right way to go with it, and it was great. I kind of thought that they were going to do this, but with Natalya instead of Alexa Bliss. Yeah, no,
I think that may have been the idea at one point.
Yeah, but like, again, I think it makes more sense with Alexa Bliss than with Natalya, because then they can extend this relationship between Natalya and Ronda Rousey, and maybe they can do something later with that. Yeah, instead of, like, throwing it out away right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I totally agree. And I thought everything they did with the women on that show, well, not necessarily Carmela versus Asuka. I like the whole James Ellsworth stuff coming out as Asuka. I thought that was fun. To me, and I know I sound like every other person on the internet, but, you know, I guess it's there for a reason. But, yeah, like, to me, I just don't believe Asuka getting beaten up. I just don't, because she was so dominant for so long and she's so good that when she starts selling for that long, I'm like, well, it's just not, you know, it's not realistic. I'd rather she beat someone up for ages and they kind of steal a pin out of nowhere. You know, that I wouldn't call it a problem. It's not a problem at all. But that's the only thing that I think when I watch, anytime Asuka has to get beaten up, I'm like, well, that's not how it's going to end, is it?
Yeah, man. Maybe, like, again, I have no problem with Carmela beating her. I think it was the way they did that. It didn't make Asuka look good at all. Like, if you do maybe a roll-up or something like that, like, but the way that Carmela beat Asuka, like, didn't make Asuka credible after all that we've seen from NXT and everything. I don't know, man. It's I don't know what they're thinking with Asuka right now. I don't know what's their plan with Asuka.
Well, my problem with it is ever since they, you know, got rid of that undefeated streak, she's just lost any momentum that she had, and that sucks, because at one point she was one of my favorite things on the entire roster. And to all this crazy stuff with her, I mean, I did like the James Ellsworth stuff. I thought it was funny, and I enjoyed the crowd reaction massively. I thought that was great, but at the same time, it was just, I don't know. I couldn't really put my finger on what I wanted from this or what I expected or whether I enjoyed it. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it kind of lived up to... It didn't really feel like a women's title match.
No, yeah, it wasn't the best moment of the night.
No,
it wasn't.
No. Okay, we'll go through the card properly, and we'll tie it into Raw and SmackDown as and when, or we'll do it afterwards. I mean, the Brother Bludgeon versus Gallows and Anderson. It was your typical pre-show match. The problem with pre-show matches in WWE are we've now been conditioned to just think that they're not as important as the rest of the card, which they're not, if we're completely honest. So it was what it was. It was okay, but whatever really.
Yeah, this was another proof of WWE hating tag teams. Like, seriously, Vince hating tag teams.
Well,
like,
there's a lot of it, isn't there?
Why do we have a championship match on the kickoff show? Like, seriously, with 4 great guys that they are like, because Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are awesome, and Bludgeon Brothers are great at what they're doing.
They really are, yeah.
But I think they're going down right now, man. They're not doing good. Even though they're champions, WWE are not portraying them as like this big thing that they should be if they're champions. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Oh no, I do. And what I really don't understand is around WrestleMania time, I actually thought the Bludgeon Brothers were treated great. They were kicking people's ass. They were running through teams, and then when they won the titles, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Maybe they'll take over the entire tag team division for a while. But instead, they just vanished off TV. They didn't really do anything. Obviously, we had this tag team match on Money in the Bank. Then we had exactly the same thing on SmackDown with the same ending. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand what the point of this was. And it wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was fine, but I just think we could do more with these people because they're so good.
Yeah. So I was like, this was my first down for the night. They were on the kickoff show, and I didn't realize that until I started watching the pay-per-view. I thought, because I knew they were on the card, but I didn't realize that they were on the kickoff show. And then I was like, whoa, what? Yeah. Why are they on the kickoff show? Why? Like, a match that lasted 7 minutes, because I'm reading it right now on Wikipedia. Sorry.
It's all right, man.
The match lasted like only 7 minutes, and they couldn't put that match on the card on the main program. I don't know, man. It's
dude. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I don't get it. I didn't get it at all. Like I say, it wasn't bad. It was just it's just a bit disappointing, which just sounds like I'm somebody's mother. But it is true. Like, I want more from them because I think Luke Harper especially is really good.
Oh man, yeah.
So it seems silly to just waste a talent that good.
Well, but it's WWE don't have a solid program for tag teams right now, and they have a lot of. I think right now WWE has had the best tag team division that they've had in years, because like I cannot think of a tag team of a bad tag team that they have right now. Like, all of them are very good.
Yeah,
they don't have a good like programming or anything, but they're good. They're all good tag teams.
No, I agree.
I don't know. I think they have, like, right now, too many tag teams, and they are not doing anything with half of them. And the ones that are being on TV almost every week, they're not being treated as they should.
So. No, I totally agree, man. And especially now the rumor is the New Day are about to be split up and have singles pushes. So, I don't think there's any focus on the tag team division going forward, which would be very interesting indeed. But, then at least then the pay-per-view kicked off properly, and we had Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. I didn't actually think it was a bad match, to be honest. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And the fact that, as we mentioned earlier, the fact that... what do you call it? But Daniel Bryan won, which I didn't expect. I wanted it to happen, but I didn't expect because of what we talked about. And of course, at that time, we didn't know what was going to happen with Big Cass. It surprised me massively, but that's why I liked it.
Yeah, man. Again, Daniel Bryan, it's always great to watch. It surprised me again that he won. I thought they were doing something more with that feud, but yeah, then we found out that no, it was a goodbye match for Big Cass. Good match, man. It was kind of longer than you expect it to be. I don't know.
No, I'm good. Like I said, my main thing was he came away the winner. So I was like, you know what? I'm all right with that. That's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, he should be winning every match.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. It was really, really good. I can't remember what did we move into after that? I can't remember now. I've lost my notes.
It was Lashley versus...
That, of course it was. The weirdest match on the whole card because it didn't serve anybody. Like, again, it was not bad. It was not bad in any stretch of the imagination. But, on one end, you had a man that you think is going to get his ass kicked. He didn't. And on the other end, you had a man that didn't kick anybody's ass. And it just finished. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that was weird. I mean, I didn't understand it. I haven't really liked the feud. It looks like Sami Zayn's now going to take some time off to rehab some injuries. Bobby Lashley on Raw was moved into the main event scene. Basically, he's going to main event Extreme Rules with in an elimination match to see who's going to be the number one contender for Brock Lesnar's title. So yeah, this was just a way to waste some weeks on TV, and now we're done with it.
Yeah, the thing that kept me interested in this short feud was Sami Zayn, because I believe Sami Zayn is like great being a heel.
Oh, he's the best,
and it was something that you wouldn't expect before when he was a face. If you told me like a couple of months ago and told me like, yeah, Sami Zayn is going to be a heel, I would say no, he's the baby face of all time, man. It was a super baby face. But seeing him as a heel is like, no, man, this guy works great. And he is the one that kept this feud interesting. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Bobby Lashley because, like I said before, by the time that he was on WWE first, I wasn't watching WWE. So for me, he's just a new guy. So, I'm sorry. Not because I didn't know who he was, but I haven't watched him a lot. So right now, and it is not his fault, but he hasn't given me the best impression. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
But Bobby Lashley, that is.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley.
Well, I think the Skype just cut out a second. I mean, I think the problem with Bobby Lashley is he's kind of fallen foul to what often happens in WWE, which is he came back with quite some momentum, but because he was aimless and because he wasn't put in a proper feud straight away. Because at one point I thought he was going to feud with Elias, and that never happened. I just think he kind of got knocked around too much. And then after a few weeks, it felt like he'd been there the whole time, or for years, because there was no focus. It was completely unfocused. And I think as soon as you do that, you lose a certain something. And that was my real problem with him. Because I like Bobby Lashley. I'm not saying he's the greatest wrestler ever, but he needed something to come in and some momentum and some to follow through on. But instead, he was just there. And look, anything is salvageable in wrestling. Like I say, he's just been put. He's been into. Him and Roman Reigns beat the Revival on Raw, which was a bizarre thing going back to our tag team conversation. But focusing on Bobby Lashley in that scenario, he's back in the main event scene. He is a good wrestler. I think if you saw him in Impact, he got far better there than he ever was in WWE. So I think hopefully when we give him the opportunity, he can show that again. He just wasn't able to give it here because the feud was, unfortunately, not very good.
No, and not because they are not good. I think it's the what they were given to work with. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
And all those segments, the Mondays before that, they were really awful. But again, even though they were awful, Sami Zayn made him look. I believe it helped more Sami Zayn than it did Bobby Lashley.
I think it gave Sami Zayn the opportunity to talk, and I don't think the loss necessarily hurts him because it doesn't really hurt Sami Zayn, and nor does it give Bobby Lashley any extra shine. So I mean, this is one of those feuds that really we're a week after it, and we've already forgotten about it. It didn't really have any kind of impact.
Yeah. Well, people will forget about it in a couple of weeks.
Indeed. Now, the weird thing we had after this was we had a very good match between Seth Rollins, the Intercontinental Champion, and Elias. Now, Seth Rollins beat Elias here by holding the tights, which is a bit like, okay, that's interesting for a good guy, but whatever. He was just kind of getting Elias back. And then 24 hours later on Raw, Dolph Ziggler challenges Seth Rollins to the IC title, and he wins by holding the tights. And I was like, oh, well, that's weird. That's very strange.
Yeah, what was that, man? What was that? That was the shocking moment of the week for me. Like, I didn't saw that coming at all. Like.
Well, I think it depends on what they do now. Like, I think Drew and Dolph have the potential to actually be quite good. So if you're going to put the belt on Dolph Ziggler and actually start to push them and, give them some wins and have them come across like a threat, I don't think there's anything wrong with putting the Intercontinental Championship on Dolph Ziggler, but it depends what happens now. I don't want it to sort of, ping back and forth. Because that just takes away any stock the title has. So if we can build a good feud out of it, I also think it may have something to do with the fact that they were going to feud Elias and Seth Rollins, but now I think they're seeing the reactions Elias are getting, and I think maybe they're going to try and turn him face. So that would explain that. So Dolph Ziggler's basically taking Elias's place. But I don't mind that because Ziggler needed something, and Drew McIntyre is great. So heating those two guys up is not the worst idea in the world.
Yeah, man. Elias, going back to Elias is great at what he's doing. Because you have a heel, like a true heel, but that can make people say, "We are scumbags."
Yeah, exactly.
How good you have to be to make the whole audience saying, "We are scumbags." And man, I don't know. It's like wrestling today is so different to how it was 15 years ago. How Elias 15 years ago, he would have been the most hated guy in the whole business.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But today, everyone loves him. So how do you put him against Seth Rollins, who is another super babyface? People will never hate Elias. So, yeah, man, I don't know. So I was kind of, with the going back to the match between Seth Rollins and Elias, I was 50-50 because I believe Seth Rollins is on the best place right now that he has been in years. But I thought that they were going with Elias, and probably because I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised that if they gave the title to Elias on Sunday. But then he loses, and then that happened on Monday night. It's like you say, I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing right now. This can work for everyone if they have something very good thought about, because if this is a temporary thing for Dolph Ziggler and Rollins, I don't know.
I think my thing with it is, like I say, if you're going to turn Elias face, I completely understand it. That's fine, no problem with that. And if this is where we start heating up Dolph Ziggler, so that in turn we can heat up Drew McIntyre, I'm okay. I am genuinely okay with that because, yeah, I just think it's the time to do it. I think it makes perfect sense. So I need to see what the story's going to be. At the moment, I don't know. I can't really comment. But that's my gut. My gut is, hopefully, this is being done in the right way, for lack of a better term, and that we can take it from there. But I like the match. I thought it was Elias' best singles match he's had so far. That's the power of Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is just amazing. And now I am intrigued to see where we go next. So
exactly. That was my question 9. We have where does this leave Seth Rollins? Is he going to the Universal title picture?
I mean, look, they're doing that elimination, right? So they've got to put something. They've got to put somebody in that role. I mean, I don't necessarily want to see him move away from the title picture entirely, the Intercontinental title picture entirely, because I think he adds something to it that I'd rather he hang around there for a little bit. But who knows? I think it all depends. Maybe we transition into Dolph Ziggler versus Elias. Maybe that's where we're going. I mean, it's a good way to turn, Elias face. I don't know, but I am interested by it. But I am surprised that what's his name? Seth Rollins lost, just because I thought he had I just thought he was doing really well as IC champion. He seemed to care about the belt. He cut that really good promo a few weeks ago on Raw, where he said he's not even interested in the world title because he's the IC champion, and that to him means something. And I really like that. I love that title, and I like when it's treated that way. I think it's I just think it works. So yes, it was certainly interesting. But in terms of the pay-per-view itself, I love the match. Love Elias. He's so over, it's ridiculous. And now all he needs to do is keep having good matches, and I imagine he'll do really well off it.
Yeah, he's good.
He is good. I like both these guys. Then we moved into the Women's Money in the Bank, which we've talked about. And then, of course, we had Roman Reigns versus Sunil Singh. Now, I'm the first person to admit that I feel bad for Roman Reigns at this stage. And also, as a fan, I don't like it when we're not even given a chance to enjoy a match. And that's kind of what happens here. When everyone just starts booing and chanting everything else, it's like, well, I may as well not even bother watching. Because everyone's just going to boo the shit out of it anyway.
Yeah, man. I hate when people start doing that. I believe it's disrespectful for the superstars, the wrestlers, but also for the other people in the audience who are trying to enjoy the match. So I think it's super disrespectful what they did. But again, WWE has to do something with Roman Reigns right now, because if not, this is going to be the same story every pay-per-view, and I don't think they are liking that. So
it's just, I mean, my thing is, I don't mind Roman Reigns, and I know a lot of people do. That's cool. I got no problem with people that do. But like you say, it's got to that point now where it's affecting matches. It's affecting my entertainment of what I'm watching, and that's when it becomes a problem. You never want that. You never want it to, be taking away from the match itself, and that is what's happening now. And I actually thought the match was, I wouldn't say it was great, but I would say that it was okay. You know, it was.
Yeah, it was a okay match. It was an okay match.
Yeah. So, but we didn't really get a chance to buy into any of that because, like I say, we'd already started booing and we'd already started chanting CM Punk and Mexican waving or whatever else they did. So
yeah, I saw a video that the daughter of Mick Foley uploaded that day, that people were like doing this wave and like doing a lot of things besides paying attention to the match. So I've never been in that position, but I'm pretty sure that that's gonna suck for the people that are doing stuff in the ring. But for the wrestlers, that's again, it's super disrespectful, and like I know why people are doing it. It's the way of protesting that we've been giving too much of Roman Reigns, and we don't like him anymore, or at least we don't like him as you are trying to fed him to us.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line there that has been crossed.
And I don't mind. Look, I totally agree with the whole. You've paid your ticket. You chant whatever you want. I'm not saying that at all. Like, I'm really not. I truly believe that should be. Yeah, I agree with that. But that doesn't mean on the other end, as a fan, when you do it, I can't go, well, I don't like this because X, Y, and Z. You know, that's my thing. It does take away from my enjoyment of it, and that's when, as I say, as a fan, I'm like, well, I don't really like. I'd rather we just ignored the match, to be honest. And the other thing is, it's not going to help if we keep giving Roman Reigns all these massive reactions. Vince McMahon's just going to go, wow, he's getting such good reactions. So it's not going to change anything. Like, the best thing to do is just be quiet. But that's that's an argument we've had over and over. Yeah. And I can't see it changing anytime soon. But obviously Roman Reigns won. Of course he did. Sunil Singh kept getting involved. It took some crazy bumps, did Sunil Singh. And yeah, it was what it was. It's a Roman Reigns thing as he bides in time. I presume before he does win the Universal title at SummerSlam or something like that. And yeah, at this stage, who even knows anymore? But it's a very, very strange time in WWE when you look at those kind of situations. That moved us on to Carmela versus Asuka, which we talked about. So we will proceed forward to AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I think I liked this a lot more than some people did. A lot of people said it was boring. I didn't necessarily think it was boring. I think it took its time to get going, but I liked that because it meant when it did get going, I was like, okay, here we go. We're away.
No, man, I don't think it was boring at all. Usually last man standing matches tend to are long. Like, this one was 30 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty normal. That's pretty normal for a last man standing match. I think they had a good match, like a good last man standing match. It was like, it wasn't like the most technical match. It was more like again, trying to keep your opponent down. So they did some good stuff, but man, I don't know where this. I was hoping that they would give the title to Shinsuke, because
me too.
Right now he has no all this momentum that he had being a heel, I think he's losing it. And
yeah, I agree. I feel like he needed to win the title to almost justify his heel turn. And I also think my other worry was I felt like, well, if we don't do it now, when do we do it? That was my, that was my other thing, and that's what I still worry about now. Like I don't know when we give him the world title now, and I want to give him that world title because, yeah, I think he's earned it. To be completely honest.
Yeah, he deserved it, and I don't think he winning the title is going to affect negatively AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles is super solid, and losing the title, it's not going to affect him as not winning the title is going to affect Shinsuke.
Yeah, I totally agree. And AJ Styles has held it long enough that it wouldn't really have made too much of a difference, I don't feel, anyway.
Yeah. So I don't know where just this leaves the title, because I think Shinsuke Nakamura is now going into a feud with Jeff Hardy, and
which I'm all right with. I point out I don't mind that at all. Like that's okay. Like I like the idea of Jeff Hardy versus Nakamura, but yeah, I don't know.
The thing is, at this time they have to give something to Shinsuke. If they're thinking of giving him the US title, well, yeah, but he needs something to back up all that heel persona, which I believe is great. He is better as a heel than as a face. But right now, he needs something. He needs a title. He needs, I don't know, because if not, it's...
Yeah, no, dude, I'm completely with you. Like, I just feel like he needs to win something because then it justifies the heel turn, right? As soon as he wins a title, it's like, see, this is why I went heel, blah 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 blah. And I did like what he did on SmackDown, where he said, the ref didn't count in Japanese and the ref counted too fast. Like, it was just great. Like, just good, classic heel stuff. But I agree with you. I don't mind that AJ Styles has held it, and I kind of understand. He's the cover athlete for WWE 2K19. That was announced the next day, which was really cool. What a journey for AJ Styles. But that was my other thing. It was just it just felt like the right time, and obviously now the feud is over because the feud has to be over. There's nothing else you can do with this.
You know what? When I was watching the match, and I was I believe this is their fourth match.
I think so. Yeah.
They had the one on WrestleMania, then the one on the
Greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and then the one on Backlash, and this one. This is the fourth match.
A fifth one. They had one on SmackDown as well to decide what the stipulation. But yes, this is their fifth match. Yeah.
So, the thing that worries me is that first it was super awesome to watch them feud. But right now, this is turning to be... Do you remember why people doesn't want to see any John Cena versus Randy Orton matches again?
I certainly do, because we saw it 800,000 times and it got really boring.
Exactly. So that was my thought during the match. If Shinsuke doesn't win, or if this feud keeps going for couple of more months, people are going to start getting bored of it.
Yeah.
And we don't want that for two awesome wrestlers.
I agree. I totally agree, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That was my thought.
No, I'm with you. I did like the match. I thought the finish was good. Like, there was a big finish to end the match, which I liked. And it's not like Shinsuke Nakamura looked weak, or he didn't. He was as protected as he could have been. It was just the whole. I really felt like I'm now worried that we'll never see Shinsuke Nakamura hold the WWE title, and I just felt like on some nerd level he probably deserved to win it at some point. Like that's just my thinking. So, but yeah, I mean it was a good match. But AJ Styles retains, did a big elbow drop through a table, or big forearm through a table, whatever you want to call it. And now we move on. Who he faces now, I don't know. No, I do know what I'm talking about. It's Rusev. What did I say that? I know. It was brilliant. I went mental.
How could you forget that?
I don't know.
How could you forget that?
Because my brain was in Sunday when I was talking. No, yeah, they did a gauntlet match on SmackDown between it had Daniel Bryan, it had The Miz, had Samoa Joe, and it had Rusev in it. And Rusev won the damn thing. I mean, what it was? Oh man, I just. Yeah.
When I was watching that match, the only thing that I was thinking was, what was your reaction to that? Like, because I know how much you love Rusev, and again, you are the number one. How how do you say it? You make people love Rusev. Like if anyone doesn't like Rusev after watching a couple of your videos, now we love Rusev.
Well,
it's your
thank
fault.
you, man.
It's your fault that we
I'll
all love
take it.
Rusev. You are the leader of the Rusev Day nation. Let's gonna call that. So, but again, man, I was super impressed. Like seeing them that they're giving this again. They keep playing him as a heel when, like, it's the same thing with Elias. Like everyone loves Rusev, but yeah, he's still a heel. But man, if he has to keep being a heel for having a push, well, let's have him as a heel. But I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. My only worry is I think he's only there to fill. I don't think this is a proper run that he's going to have. I think he's there to fill the spot at Extreme Rules because AJ Styles needs an opponent. Now, look, I'm not going to complain about that because that's much better than what he was doing. But also, it means they're not going to turn him face properly anytime soon because they would have done that. They wouldn't put him in this position. However, as a Rusev fan that thinks Rusev is underrated, I thought it was absolutely wonderful. I mean, we'll talk about SmackDown just quickly. The Gauntlet match basically went Daniel Bryan. Who the hell did he beat in the first? He beat Samoa Joe in the second match. Who did he beat in the first match? Why can't I remember this?
I have it on my notes. Let's see.
Yeah, my computer crashed a while ago. It just won't open.
It's
the stuff I need to
Biggie.
Of course it was, which I liked as well. I thought Daniel Bryan versus Biggie, really cool idea. Have never seen that before, so I got a real kick out of that. So that was good. Daniel Bryan won. Then Daniel Bryan beat Samoa Joe by count out, which was fine. I don't mind that in a gauntlet match. And then for some bizarre reason, Luke Harper came out and destroyed Daniel Bryan. So I don't know what's going to happen with that or who's going to come in, but certainly was a surprise. And we'll have to see what happens. Then obviously, The Miz came out and took advantage of that. He gave the skull crushing for Daniel Bryan, and he went through. And then Rusev made The Miz tap out, and he's the #1 contender, which was just wonderful. I tell you. I mean, I was so
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought of all the people in that match, he would be the one winning? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess I think it may just be for Extreme Rules, but right now I'm just happy to see where it goes because I like what they're doing with Daniel Bryan. It certainly looks like they're going to do a feud with The Miz and Bryan. We wanted to see it for ages. That's good. Maybe they do some ridiculous thing where he has to be in a tag team with The Miz for a while. I'd enjoy that because I just would. I just think that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So I liked it. I liked all of that. And then, of course, we move into the men's Money in the Bank match. Why I ever thought they'd put it on anyone but Braun Strowman, I don't know in hindsight. Of course they were going to do that. But you know what? I thought it was a decent match. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed myself. So it's hard to, it's hard to say anything else.
Yeah, man. I think we all saw it coming. We all knew that Braun Strowman was going to win that match. Even though I don't think he's the one that needed it the most. Again, I think
I agree with that,
some of the guys on that match would benefit of having the briefcase more than Braun Strowman. Because Braun Strowman doesn't need to have a briefcase. I forgot the name. To have the Money in the Bank to be a menace to the champion. Like, he doesn't need the Money in the Bank. Instead of other people like, I don't know, Finn Balor, who right now it's in, like, he's super lost in between all that. I don't know, man. It's not that I have a problem with Braun Strowman winning it, but like, the other people lose a lot not winning that match. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I think because my thing is that I thought Kevin Owens or Finn Balor or somebody like that would benefit the most from it because I felt like could have got the most mileage out of it over the next few weeks and months or whatever. That was always my thing. But I just in hindsight, of course it was going to go to what do you call it to Braun Strowman because they love Braun Strowman. They absolutely love Braun Strowman. So I was a bit like, I mean, what was I even considering? But it was fine. The match was good. That the spot that Kevin Owens took was insane. Like, I really enjoyed that. I like the fact that
man, I was super scared of that.
He went down. Like he went.
Yeah, when I saw that, it was like, man, that was like 15 feet or more. And when I saw him like falling down those tables, it was like, whoa, man, I hope he's okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. I like everything they did on Raw as well, where Braun and Kevin Owens was trying to kiss up to Braun. I thought all of that was. I just enjoyed it. I thought all of it was really fun. But yeah, I agree with you. I think if they'd given it to someone like Finn Balor or Kevin Owens, they could have done more with that over the. Yeah, but I guess I like the idea with big guy, super scary guy is now the Money in the Bank. They've never really done that before, so that's interesting. But mostly, I came away thinking the pay-per-view was very good.
Yeah, it was a good pay-per-view. It was solid. It was very solid.
Yeah, it was.
Hey, did we talk about? Yeah, we talked about Letta versus Nia. No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did. We kind of flew. But I like that you wanted to bring it up. You liked it that much. You're like, we can't not talk about that. That was brilliant.
No. I just wanted to tell you, like, I'm not that I'm super impressed because, like, we know how good athlete she is, Ronda Rousey. But yeah, man, I think she in like 6 months to a year from now, like, we can be seeing very good matches from Ronda Rousey. So
me too, man. I'm genuinely excited to see to see. And I thought what she did on Raw, where she just attacked everyone and beat everybody up, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was a really, really, really good spot. I was very, very impressed, to be honest with her. Yeah, I thought everything she did in that space of 24 hours was. If you needed some evidence that, everything was going to be okay, I think this was the evidence that we needed. So,
yeah.
Just some other stuff from Raw quickly, too. Obviously, we mentioned about Dolph Ziggler winning the title. Bobby Roode beat Kurt Hawkins in 45 seconds just to give him something to do, which was a bit weird. All the stuff with Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens was nice. They just sort of, they got this weird little mini feud going on. I cannot believe they're trying to pretend that Bayley and Sasha Banks are going to break up again, but they are. They had a tag match and they fell out again. So I mean,
I've lost interest in that.
Of course you have. How could you not have done? Like, it's so long in the tooth by this point. It is ridiculous. So that's ridiculous. That's just stupid. I did enjoy what the B team did when they impersonated Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah, the B team is super cool. It's great.
It's so dumb. Jinder Mahal beating Chad Gable in about 2 minutes really upset me because Chad Gable is so talented. I don't know what we're doing with him at this stage.
I think they're waiting for him to maybe Jason Jordan to come back.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
come back to because right now he's not being treated right.
No. And the other thing I want to talk about in that vein as well, the Revival, same thing. Chad Gable and the Revival, like we mentioned, the Revival jobbed out to Bobby Lashley and Roman Reigns, and the real focus here was the fact that Bobby Lashley tagged himself in and got the win when he wasn't supposed to. That's what we did here.
Yeah. What do we do with it? What are they thinking to do with all these people that they keep bringing from NXT?
I don't know, man.
But they get lost again. Let's No Way Jose.
Well, yeah, exactly. He lost to who the hell? The Mojo Rawley beat him of all people in about 3 minutes. So yeah, really, just really, really, really strange. I don't get it. I mean, on a 3-hour episode of Raw, there certainly seems to be long enough to not do stuff like this, but we do. And then moving on to SmackDown as well. Obviously, Oscar and James Ellsworth are back together. That's fine. Becky Lynch beat Billie Kay. Again, fine. We're getting a Jeff Hardy versus Nakamura feud. I like that. Sanity debuted. They just beat the crap out of the Usos. I thought that was awesome. And then we had the Gauntlet match, as we said. So SmackDown was certainly my show, the show of the week for me out of those two shows.
Yeah. The question here, what do you think of the Jeff Hardy segment? Are they trying to move him to a Brother Nero kind of character, or because I don't remember seeing this kind of segment from here before, with all the painting and the face and the way he was speaking. I don't know. It was weird.
I think it was just. I think it's just a way to give him maybe spice up his character a bit and maybe tap into that a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. I know what you mean. I liked it, though. I thought it was good. And what was the other thing that I wanted to mention? I can't remember now. That was probably it. But good.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, the other thing that I was thinking when I was watching the Gauntlet match, do you think and I think this is what they're trying to do, they're moving Daniel Bryan to the tag team picture.
Well, that's it, man. I mean, that's what I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. There's some kind of angle we can do with the Miz, where those two have to team up for a while just for a joke, and then they fall out. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, very very interesting. But I'm not against it. Yeah. I'm intrigued. I want to see what they do.
Yeah, I'm not against it either. I'm just curious of who they paired him up to that to feud with the Bludgeon Brothers.
Honestly, if they do the Miz and him through some weird hoo-ha, I wouldn't mind it so much. It would be silly, but I would like that. I like the fact it would almost be a throwback to NXT, the original NXT, when he was his mentor or whatever. So, I would like that. I would like that. A few other things I wanted to mention before we do wrap up this week's episode of the podcast. Firstly, where is it? Where's my list? I've lost it all now. Where is it? Oh, yeah, of course. Ring of Honor wanted to run an event in Madison Square Garden, and it got pulled because WWE pulled their weight and said, nope, they're not doing that. And now Sinclair, who own Ring of Honor, got very mad, and they're now threatening to sue. So keep an eye on that one, because I think that could be very interesting indeed. Because obviously no wrestling company has ever run Madison Square Garden, I don't think, other than WWE. That may be wrong, but, not a lot of them. And also, apparently, WWE is also considering a 2019 network special centered around talent who are not under WWE contract. So that would basically be like All in one sense. So that would be fascinating to see how that comes across. On the subject of All In, it is officially going to be aired on some form of streaming service, so you will be able to watch it. I also have very exciting news about All In soon. I'm not wrestling at it. Don't get too excited, but I'll be able to talk to you about that soon. And the last thing is that WWE is also going to Australia to run the Melbourne Cricket Ground, which is huge, which is also a network special. So yeah, a lot. And also there was the whole WWE NXT UK announcement, which starts filming at the end of the month. They ran 2 shows at the Royal Albert Hall this week. I went to the one on Tuesday. It was very good. Everyone there was amazing. So yeah, a lot going on in the world of wrestling. Man. Yeah, Mustache Mountain beating Undisputed Era was just absolutely insane. So yeah, crazy.
Well, you were there?
I was there.
Was that the one that you were?
Yeah, I was there, man. The reaction was otherworldly. Like it was, it was amazing. So yeah, there's a lot going on. And like I said, before we do wrap up, I just want to thank everybody for their support and nice words about my first ever singles match. Like I say, in Defiant Wrestling. To celebrate it, I also got some merchandise done, because why wouldn't I? And you can go check that out at simonmiller.bigcartel.com if you would like. Obviously, you just check it out if nothing else. But, everyone kept telling me to get some merchandise done, so I thought, screw it, I'm going to get it done. And I did. And if I said that it was an homage to Stone Cold Steve Austin's watch shirt, maybe with a Y logo on it, you wouldn't be out of the realms of what I've actually done, because that's exactly what I've done. Anyway, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the week in wrestling. Pedro, is there anything else you want to touch upon before we wrap up?
No, man, I think that we covered everything that happened this week. And, man, excited for what happens the next few weeks before Extreme Rules.
What's your opinion?
I'm super interested in what's in NXT right now. So
NXT smashing it again. What's your opinion on All In before we do wrap up?
Man, I don't know, man. I'm super excited because I'm super fan of Cody Rhodes and what he's doing right now. I think this is a big step for indies, not indies, let's call it like that. Yeah, it's a big step for indie promotions. Again, this wouldn't happen 15, 20 years ago. So now, knowing that they're gonna stream it and everything, I think this could be, like you said, this could be the WrestleMania of the Indies.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it gets that much traction. It's such a good show that people just want to see it again next year. I would love that. I think that would be.
They haven't confirmed any match, right?
No, not at the moment. I think they confirmed some more talent this week, but at the moment we still do it. We don't know, which is amazing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So.
Yeah, interested in that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited about that. Well, Pedro, look, I want to thank you very much for your time and for your support and your patronage and all of that stuff. It means the world to me. And thanks for coming on the show as well, dude. I love chatting to you guys, and the community around all of this is great. And yeah, man, I just really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man.
Anytime. We'll have to do it again and have a big conversation about Puerto Rico wrestling. You probably know everything about it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Kind
not.
of.
But yeah, thank
Maybe
you
not.
so much. If you'd like to go on the Simon's Pro Wrestling Podcast, you can by visiting patreon.com/Simon316. Again, thank you so much for all the support that I already get on there. It blows my mind. And even if you could throw $1 my way, that would be awesome too. It'll go up at YouTube at youtube.com/The Middle Report Rules. I'm on Twitter at Simon316. Also, bizarrely, I've never done this before, but please go follow me on Instagram at Simon316 because I found out if you get to a certain number of followers, you can start doing really cool stuff with Instagram, and now I want to do it. Also, join the Facebook group, Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast. Just search for that. On iTunes, give us 5 stars, give us a review, and yeah, simonmiller.bigcartel.com if you'd like some Simon Miller merchandise. What a ridiculous thing to say, but I'm proud and happy that I can. Pedro, would you want to give out any plugs or anything like that before we wrap up?
No, man. Again, thank you very much for having me, and it was a good talk.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Well, again, thank you to Pedro. Thank you to everyone listening this week. Hopefully, we'll be back later in the week to do a Q&A episode. This week may be a little nuts just because, like I say, driving back from Newcastle on Monday kind of ruined my week. But I will do my best. I promise to get something up soon, or we'll make it up next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading me, and I will talk to you again very soon.